The citizenship bill that has been sent back to the House of Representatives for reconsideration by the President is being prepared to be passed by the House of Representatives today without making any amendments. While the main opposition CPN-UML has objected to the government decision to move forward the bill unchanged, Law Minister Govinda Sharma Koirala has reassured that the citizenship bill will be endorsed from the federal parliament today. Good morning, I'm Abheudaya Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Preparations being made to pass the citizenship bill from the House of Representatives today without any amendments. Main opposition CPN-UML discontent with the government's move to forward the bill unchanged. More than 115,000 candidates of local elections yet to furnish their election expenditure details. Election laws and good governance ignored. Election Commission yet to take actions. At least 3 people killed and dozens others injured in a blast in Afghanistan's capital Kabul that is thought to have occurred during evening prayers. And hosts Ireland thump Afghanistan by 7 wickets in the deciding match of the 5-match T20 series. Ireland win the series 3-2. The government is making preparations to pass the citizenship bill from the House of Representatives today unchanged. The bill, which was sent back to the federal parliament by President Bidya Bhandari for reconsideration, is being prepared to be passed from the House of Representatives without making any amendments. In the possible agendas for today published by the Parliament Secretariat, it has been mentioned that a proposal will be presented at the House on the consideration of the citizenship bill and a motion will be moved forward to pass the bill. Meanwhile, Law Minister Govinda Sharma Koirala has informed that the citizenship bill for reconsideration will be endorsed from the federal parliament today. Earlier on Sunday, President Bhandari had returned the bill with a 15-point recommendation for revisions. Meanwhile, the main opposition CPN-UML has objected to the government decision to move forward the bill unchanged, neglecting the President's recommendation for revision. The Parliamentary Committee has begun discussions on the impeachment motion registered against suspended Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Rana 6 months after it was filed. The investigation committee formed on 6th of March has begun official works to move forward the motion. However, challenges in giving the motion a momentum have surfaced as members of the committee themselves are divided on the issue. Vested interests of political parties had delayed the impeachment motion for 6 months. Now that the committee has begun its works, disagreements have surfaced between lawmakers regarding the modality of investigation. The ruling coalition parties, including Nepali Congress and CPN Maoist Center, had filed the impeachment motion against Rana at the House of Representatives on 13th of February with 21 different allegations. The committee is to begin its investigations on all 21 allegations. However, the committee first needs to finalize on the investigation modality. Lawmakers on the committee from the main opposition CPN-UML have opined the committee must take its full time to investigate, while those from Nepali Congress and CPN Maoist Center seem in favor of ending the investigation as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, some lawmakers from the ruling alliance itself have complained that the alliance did not consult with them while forming the investigation committee. The next meeting of the committee is to decide on its schedule and discuss on the investigation modality suggested by the Parliament Secretariat. A total of 145,013 candidates contested at the recent local level elections. Based on legal provisions, the candidates were required to furnish their expenditure details within 30 days of completion of the polls. However, most of the political parties and candidates who preach about good governance and procedures have yet to submit their details. Questions have now begun surfacing about actions from the Election Commission against those failing to abide by the legal arrangements. With the Apex Election Authority delaying legal actions, the trend of flouting the law has increased. 3 months have gone by since the conclusion of the local level elections. However, of the 145,013 candidates, only 21,230 submitted their expenditure details within the deadline. 8,652 exceeded the deadline, while 115,131 are yet to present any information. This is a direct violation of the election laws and good governance. The Election Commission has begun asking for clarifications from those yet to furnish their expense details. If not satisfied with the clarifications, the Apex Election Authority is to impose a fine, the higher value among 500,000 rupees, and the expense made by the candidates. The Election Commission has the authority of prohibiting the candidates from filing their candidacies in any election or scrapping their positions after winning the elections if they fail to submit the details within a 6-month period. The issue of candidates failing to submit their election expenses is not new. The delay from the Commission in taking actions against such candidates has seen candidates even from past elections ignoring the legal provision. In such a situation, the Commission does not even have any data in this regard. Such lapses have made the elections extravagant and failed in ensuring transparency. The Commission, however, has its own issues, including inadequate human and technical resources. Despite these limitations, the Election Commission must not shy away from its responsibilities. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. What do you term the trend of the candidates not furnishing their election expenditure details? Your options are A, political backing, B, breaching legal provisions, and C, helpless election commission. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. The ruling coalition's task force formed to determine the election equation for the upcoming provincial and parliamentary polls has decided it needs to discuss with top brass leaders of the 5 parties on the modality. The task force meeting held yesterday at the Prime Minister's official residence in Balwatar had made the decision. The meeting had dwelt on potential modalities, and coordinator of the task force, Krishna Prasad Sitola, is to now consult with top leaders of the alliance to finalize the same. After that, parties will hold internal discussions to finalize the election equation. The task force has taken the 2017 elections and the local elections held back in May as the base for the allocation of seats. The task force is expected to reach a final decision on Saturday. Yesterday's meeting was supposed to dwell on proposals from the parties. However, parties did not stake their claims, citing inadequate preparations. The trend of spending the budget at the fag end of the fiscal year is likely to be repeated this year as well. Despite the introduction of the budget on 15th of Jet as per the Nepali calendar, to begin its implementation from 1st of Shravan, implementation of the budget is already following past practices. Not even half of the allocated capital budget has been spent in the first month of the fiscal year. Having spent more than 20% of the budget in the last month of the previous fiscal year, the ministries have managed to spend only 0.4% of their budget in the first month of this fiscal year. Despite assuring implementation of the budget from the first day of the new fiscal year, the ministries have followed past trends, as only 0.4% of the capital budget and 1% of the total budget have been spent so far. The government allocates budget in 50 sectors, including the ministries and other departments. Most of these departments have yet to make any capital expenditure. Introduction of the budget on 15th of Jet provides around a month and a half for preparation of required documents. But with the failure of the officials, implementation plans are always delayed. Such lapses and delays have been attributed to the weaknesses of the officials and the absence of efficient political leaderships. Experts are of the opinion that regular changes in the Council of Ministers and weak political leadership lead to delay in project implementation, even with timely introduction of the budget. The Ministry of Fiscal Infrastructure and Transport, which has a budget of 156 billion rupees, has spent only 850 million rupees, which is a bare 0.6%. The Ministry of Energy has spent 0.6%, while the Ministry of Urban Development has spent only 0.1% of its capital budget. These dismal figures identify the need for improvement in the operation of the government. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the general public in several provinces, how do people find the services provided by government-run health institutions? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
सरकारले पैसा मात्रै गोजीमा हम्म गरेको छ सरकारी काम कहिले जाला घाम
लाइनमा बस्नुपर्छ सारै भिडभाड छ सिस्टमेटिक छैन
केही दूरदराज यति अप्ठ्यारो स्थितिमा छन् अप्ठ्यारो ठाउँमा छन् ती ठाउँमा चाहिँ अझै प्रभावकारी स्वास्थ्य सेवा विस्तार हुन सकेको छैन
समयमा डाक्टरहरू आउनुपर्छ औषधिहरू पर्याप्त मात्रामा पाउनुपर्छ
पहुँचाउनको लागि मात्रै छ
पाउनुपर्ने सेवा सुविधाहरू सहज ढङ्गबाट पाइरहेका छौँ
महँगो औषधिहरू चाहिँ यहाँ पाइँदैन
लक्षित वर्गले पाउन सकेको छैन सुविधा
केन्द्रीय सरकारले राम्रो डाक्टरहरू स्थानीय सरकारमा राखिदिए वडा कार्यालय गाउँपालिकामा राखिदिए हामीलाई सजिलो हुन्थ्यो
सुविधा हामीलाई केही छैन पेसेन्ट जताउन बजार आउनु पर्छ
डाक्टरले पनि त्यति ध्यान दिँदैनन् नाम मात्रको उपचार गर्छन् र क्लिनिकमा ध्यान दिन्छन्
सरसफाई कोरोना भाइरस भन्छ देशमा अब केही चिजको यहाँनिर हाम्रो सरकारलाई केही मतलबै छैन
It's time now for the sports news.
Sports news.
The All Nepal Football Association ANFA has expedited preparations for the nearing SAF Women's Championship. Host Nepal's national football governing body are making efforts to ensure a grand tournament while all matches of the Nepali Eves are to be played under floodlights. The Dasrat Stadium, alternative venues and practice grounds are currently being renovated under the preparation for the upcoming SAF Women's Championship. All matches of the tournament will be played at the Dasrat Stadium. ANFA is making preparations to provide facilities at the Army Headquarters, Chassel, and Army's Lagankhel ground for training of the participating teams. It has been learned that the ground of St. Xavier's will also be available as an alternative. As per the plans, all matches of Nepal are to be played under floodlights, which one match will be played under the lights every day. Meanwhile, ANFA is also making arrangements of 2 friendly matches for Bhutan against Tribhuvan Army and Armed Police Force. Team Bhutan are to arrive in Nepal 1 week prior to the tournament. Meanwhile, the Nepali Eves are to play a friendly match against the Nepal men's under-17 team, which is preparing for the under-17 SAF Championship. In another context, India's participation at the tournament is to be decided on Tuesday after the nation was imposed a ban by FIFA for undue influence of third parties. The tournament is slated between 6th and 19th of September. 7 nations were to compete at the tournament initially. However, India's participation is now uncertain because of FIFA's suspension of the All India Football Federation. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.